Good afternoon. I'm Jian Kim in the KSHB 41 newsroom. We interrupt normal streaming programming for a news alert. Right now, the chairman of the Jackson County Legislature, along with other county officials, are holding a press conference regarding a judge's ruling in the Frank White recall election lawsuit. The judge has decided that the recall election will be held on September 30th, not later this month. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, as you know, the judge rendered a court decision today to put the ballot initiative to recall the county executive for September 30th, 2025. I applaud the court's decision to uphold the county charter and honor the will of the voters. Today's ruling sends a clear message that the people of Jackson County, not political maneuvering, will decide this recall. Now it's the time for the county executive, Frank White, to obey the election and the judge and let it proceed without delay. The election boards should respect this ruling. We recognize that this is a tight timeline, but we also recognize that the voters deserve a well-run, accessible election on September 30th. I call on the election administrators to move quickly and transparently to meet this moment. The legislature stands ready to support their efforts that every available voter can cast their ballots without confusion or barriers. This is about protecting democracy, ensuring the voices that all citizens, the 43,000 that signed those petitions, that their voices are heard, that everyday citizens have a voice on September 30th. I'm joined here by our county clerk, Mary Jo Spino, and our attorney that represents the clerk's office and the legislature, Pat McInerney with Spencer Fain. I applaud him today for a historic ruling because there is no court ruling that gives us any precedent on this, and this is making history here today. So I'll turn it over to Pat McInerney to say a few words, and I want to thank him for all of his hard work and his team. Thank you, Pat.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I'm Pat McInerney. My last name is McInerney. I'm with the law firm Spencer Fain. There's an easy message from the court today. Jackson County voters won today after nearly 43,000 people and the elected Jackson County legislature compelled this result. The court said the voters should decide this without delay at the very earliest time. Even though it was probably inconvenient and took some work over the weekend, we applaud this court and this judge's ruling. He took the time and put the effort in to come up with a clear and we think a very right decision. So the will of the people wins today. The court said this recall is so important that it has to happen as soon as possible, and it will, September 30th.
And now we'll open it up for any questions that you might have.
Mr. McGee, I think you know that Mr. White has the option to probably file an injunction if he chooses on this. Do you anticipate that happening, him trying to maybe halt the proceedings a little bit longer?
Well, I think we should just look at history. The county executive, Frank White, has a history of delay in this process. He took 10 days when he didn't need to deny the folks a right to vote on this. He's now, as you're talking about, maybe even looking at an appeal. But at this point, we can't worry about that. We have to worry about making sure that people have the right to vote on this matter, and they do. The judge agrees with us. It's September 30th, and that's what this legislature and that this court has stated, and that's what we're moving towards. So if he wants to have an appeal, that's a side issue that has nothing to do with the people voting, has nothing to do with the petitioners or the people who signed the petition or even the courts. They've stated it's September 30th, and that's what we're moving towards. That's what the election boards are moving towards.
As far as election authorities, can an election before November open them up to potential legal challenges?
I don't believe so. This is a judge's order. So the judge has said that this is a deemed illegal election September 30th. So I don't know how there would be any liability for the election boards because this was not decided by the court. This was not decided by the legislature or the election authorities. It was decided by the courts, which is the rule of law.
And the ordinance that you guys are going to hear this afternoon, 5995, I think it is that just tossed out now?
Oh, I think it will be now that you have a court order. I mean, The way I can put this is that the election director in Jackson County said it best. Everybody was waiting for a judge's order. They have one, and it's September 30th, and that's what we're moving forward with.
So is the county willing to pay the entire cost now that it's not going to be in November, barring a legal challenge from the county executive?
I don't think there was ever a question of whether the county would pay the legal costs. I think we assumed that we would pay the legal costs in this process like we do with any other election. The issue was becoming is whether we would have to pay more in a special election or have it in November. The judges made that decision, so we will pay the cost to bear the election on September 30th.
So that will require an ordinance at a later meeting?
Oh, at a later meeting, like we do with any other election. Yes, it will require an ordinance at a later meeting. Jeff?
Duran, could you walk through the mechanics of this? It's September 30th, the voters have voted, let's say it's a yes. What happens?
So
Somebody gets appointed, how long do they serve? Anybody can be appointed, right? How does that work?
So there's a two-step process. At the point of the certification of the election, the office is immediately vacated. I, as chair, will appoint the temporary executive, which would last anywhere between 7 to 10 days. It could last less than that or more than that. And then the legislature would come together, and then they would decide to fill out the remaining year of the county executive's current term, and then that would be the process. It's whoever can get to 5 at that point. But prior to that, it would be the appointment of the chair would serve as a temporary chair until that person is named. Now, if the legislature cannot agree on a person, the charter states that the presiding judge would pick that person.
Are you interested in the interim role?
Again, I'm not going to speculate on that at this point. I think it's the main point that I wanted to work with our lawyers and our clerk and my colleagues is making sure we have an election date set. We have, and I want to ensure that the voices of the voters are heard. This is not about who's jockeying for a position. I think this is about an election or a job performance of one person, that's Frank White. And I think that's the decision at hand today, not who the replacement will be.
So you don't anticipate a bunch of stumbling blocks going into September 30th?
No, I don't. I mean, I think the blocks are where they are. So, I mean, the judge has said that the election will be September 30th. Any other questions? Jonathan, anyone?
Well, I'm just reading Frank's statement, and it's long. And there's some of the stuff we've already covered. Do you think this is more about property assessments, or do you think it's about stadium subsidies or a combination of both?
Well, let me just say this. The stadium's failed. The property taxes have continued to be an issue, and they got 43,000 signatures. So, and it's never happened before. So I think anybody can do the math of what this is about.
Property assessments.
Correct.
In your eyes.
And now it's not just about property of homeowners. It's now about commercial properties, people that own businesses. That has been another part of this. So I think that, unfortunately, the county executive is tone deaf of the issue at hand. This has nothing to do about stadiums. Stadiums were decided in April of last year. It failed. No one's talking about stadiums anymore. Just the county executive.
So your response to Mr. White saying this recall effort isn't about performance or good government, it's about one thing, stadium subsidies, that's your response to that?
Yeah, I think he's the only one that thinks that. I think if you ask the average person on the street, it's about their property taxes and his job performance. He's been county executive since 2016, and property taxes have continued to skyrocket since that time. And there has been a lack of an explanation as to why, and the calculations behind many of those increases. And I think for most people, the blame has been sitting with the county executive, not with anybody else. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back. The press conference has just wrapped up. Again, to recap, the recall election of Jackson County Executive Frank White will be held on September 30th. The KSHB 41 team is working to get reaction from residents of Jackson County, Frank White, and other members of the legislature. We'll have updates for you all day, both on air and online. I'm Jian Kim here in the newsroom. We'll send you back to your regular streaming program.